On September 6, 2025, the largest nuclear power plant in Europe was 57 seconds away from a direct hit. 10 Ukrainian drones, each weighing barely 1.5 pounds, were closing in on the Zaporizhzhia Nuclear Power Plant. The Russians guarding it believed such an attack would never happen, but Ukraine had just proven them wrong. This wasn't a barrage of missiles. It was a swarm of KHS-7 drones. Each one cost just $400. And yet, through the live feed of a lead drone's camera, the target was already in sight. The $50 million Training and Simulation Center, the nerve hub where Russian engineers practiced how not to cause another Chernobyl. Destroying it wouldn't trigger a meltdown, but it would cripple Russia's ability to operate its most valuable strategic asset. 9 miles away, inside a bunker near Orikhiv, a Ukrainian technician sat behind a battered laptop. His control signal jumped frequencies 1,000 times per second, dodging Russian jamming like a ghost in the machine. On his map, the Zaporizhzhia plant looked untouchable. Protected by S-400 air defenses, the Kasuka 4 electronic warfare bubble, and endless patrols. On paper, it was impenetrable. But Ukraine had spent 3 months planning this. Instead of flying directly through defenses, they swam under them. At 4:30 a.m., under thick fog, a Maritska autonomous underwater vehicle slipped off a fishing boat and disappeared into the Dnipro River. For 30 minutes, it crept like a crocodile in murky water, completely unseen. Minutes later, 2 Neptune missiles roared toward a Russian rocket launcher. To civilians, it was just a truck, but to the drones, it was a shotgun waiting to shred them from the sky. Ukraine eliminated it before the main event even started. Meanwhile, a 5-man Ukrainian Special Operations Unit, hidden inside Enerhodar, created a gap in the crude anti-drone nets. Using a handheld jammer, they carved out a silent passageway. Only then did the Maritska resurface 3 miles from the plant. Its hatch opened. 10 drones rose into the sky. 8 dropped low to hide in ground clutter. 2 climbed high with fake warheads, sacrificing themselves as decoys. Russian radar operators locked on. The S-400 fired multi-million-dollar missiles to kill what turned out to be 2 $800 throwaways. That's when the real swarm slipped in unnoticed. Here's why the plan worked. The drones carried tiny NVIDIA Jetson nanochips, the same ones used in hobbyist robotics. This gave them 2 critical abilities: frequency-hopping comms immune to jamming, and optical navigation that matched terrain against stored satellite maps. GPS wasn't needed. They could see the ground. And their carbon fiber bodies were so small that Russian radar literally filtered them out as birds. At 05:02, the Russian defenses finally reacted. Panzer systems opened fire. A gunship strafed the perimeter. Within moments, 6 drones were destroyed. But 1 made it through. That last operator guided his drone with surgical precision. He avoided every firing arc, weaving through dead zones until he lined up on a ventilation intake barely the size of a pizza box. The drone dove inside. Its camera feed flickered through metal ducts. The operator, working from memory, navigated the twists. Then the target appeared, the server racks powering the $50 million simulator. At 05:03 and 43 seconds, the feed went white. A shaped charge turned into a jet of molten copper that sliced through concrete and vaporized the servers. Outside, there was no explosion, only a puff of smoke and sudden silence. The lights inside the center went dark. The strategic consequences were immediate. Russia still held the plant physically, but now it couldn't train new reactor operators. 18 months and at least $60 million would be required to rebuild. Until then, its biggest nuclear asset remained effectively paralyzed. For the cost of a used car, Ukraine pulled off a strategic checkmate. They proved that in modern warfare, a garage-built drone can outsmart billion-dollar fortresses. They also showed that the future of conflict may not belong to tanks, missiles, or fleets, but to swarms of cheap machines guided by skilled operators. This wasn't just a tactical victory. It was a message. Russia's most guarded facility wasn't safe, and the balance of power in the region just tilted in ways no one in Moscow expected. All eyes are now on how Russia responds. Do they escalate defenses? Do they retaliate? Or do they admit that asymmetric warfare has rewritten the rules? The next 48 hours could decide whether this was a single daring strike or the beginning of a new phase in the war.